Hey everyone, welcome back to On the Couch. Now we have 4 guys from RTN. They're working on a documentary that will premiere on December 5th. It's called Change of Tides, the William Roberts story. It's a documentary about a vet. And we have Chris, Evan, Josh, and Joe. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Yeah. So tell us more about the documentary.
Chris?
Yeah, okay. So my grandfather is getting rather old. And
Rather old?
He's 90.
He's 90. Yeah.
And
that's
so
old.
his whole life, he really didn't talk about his service too much, but he had horrible nightmares. And as he's getting older, I think he realized it's time to talk about it. And so we went over with the camera and really got his side of the story and what he went through.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, his grandfather was a veteran for World War II. He actually was, he participated in like the storm on Normandy.
Yeah.
Like a big historical event.
Yeah, Allie and I, we watched the trailer.
Oh, interesting.
For your, I mean, it's only 30 seconds, but it was, it was still pretty cool to see it.
Yeah.
But how did production go? I mean, how long did it take?
Production went well. We did it in probably a few hours. We sat him down.
Really?
Yeah, we went to his house, set up a couple of lights, camera, and just started asking him questions. He was really comfortable with it, surprisingly. You know, he was willing to do it, which made it easier for us. You know.
So, I mean, what are your roles, though? I mean, okay, so it was your grandfather, but
yeah,
I guess
We all kind of like co-produced it.
You co-produced it
together, came up with ideas.
I mean, you're all pretty knowledgeable when it comes to cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like
It was like, if we had to kind of divide it, it was Evan and Chris focused more on the questions and kind of the story of it, and Josh and I focused more on the technical aspect of it, behind the camera, setting up the lights and everything.
It's interesting. Chris is a history major. I'm a PR major, and they're radio, TV, film majors. So like,
Nice combination.
it actually
it's
like
a cool
for once, like all of our kind of like skills came together to like for one project. So it was really cool to just kind of bounce off each other, like them with the production side, me with the narrative storytelling, and then him with like the history and the fact that it's his grandfather, it's family. So it was cool just how we were able to bounce off each other to try to get this thing done.
How much time went into the production?
Yeah, I mean,
well, beforehand, we just had to come up with the questions, you know, really just think about what we're going to ask. And then obviously Chris knew about all the history behind it. And then the actual production, like I said, it was just one day. We went there, shot it, and now we're just
so if
working
it
on
was that, I
post-production.
mean, if it was that short of an interview, I guess, you know, you only did it in one day, but what's the final product going to be? How long is it going to be?
Well, what's interesting about that is we kind of thought we were going to have this out by Veterans Day. This was going to be a documentary we were going to appear on Veterans Day. But as we started to cut it together and, you know, kind of get the feel of the documentary, and we started to go through and get like stock footage and pictures, we realized that this is actually like a huge project, and like it was a bit more of an undertaking than we thought it would be.
Yeah, because the more time you spend in post-production, the better it'll turn out.
Yeah,
Exactly,
so instead of rushing it to get done on Veterans Day, we decided to push it back to the Friday before Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. So.
Which kind of gives us more time to look at different things we can put into it, kind of come up with a narration and kind of a script to go along with it. So it's not just the interview, it's, you know, someone telling the
Story
history
behind
with
it.
it.
Yeah.
Who did the voiceover?
Oh, we have Dr. Streb on board, actually, as our voiceover artist. If you've never had Dr. Streb, he's
Great
outstanding.
professor. And great voice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So was this inspired by Veterans Day?
Like you wanted
Like,
to...
yeah, have it
Yes
out by
and
Veterans
no. I think one time I was at the bar with these guys, flapping my mouth about how he was at Normandy and how significant it was. And they were more inspired than I thought they would be. And they're like, you know what, we really have to get his story. And I asked, and he was okay with it, and it was smooth sailing from there.
Well, what's interesting is actually we based this off an idea that's something that Josh did when he was younger.
Yeah, when I was actually 12, I made a documentary about my grandparents who were survivors of the Holocaust. So I had some experience with documentary, and I really enjoyed just capturing, you know, the history and the story behind it. So that kind of helped spark the interest in making this film.
Yeah, and it's good, too, because he's 90, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, my grandpa was in the Army in 1946. So, I mean, things kind of calmed down. So, yeah, it's good you got someone who was actually on the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't on the
He wasn't on the beaches? Oh,
but he was
come
like
on.
1,000 feet away from the beach.
He was
You'll
1,000.
see him in the documentary.
Well,
You'll see,
we can say he was on the beaches then.
yeah.
He was at Normandy.
He was at
That's a good way
Normandy.
to put it.
And it
When
was
does the documentary come out?
December 5th.
December 5th. Is
Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
We're
our
keeping
plan
All things
date,
go
yeah.
according to
So this will be on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Yes, it'll be online, YouTube, Vimeo, one or the other.
Vimeo.
It'll be available.
The more
online.
prestigious medium by which film students disseminate their work.
I like YouTube.
I don't know. Dr. Bierman, I don't know. He shows us stuff from Vimeo.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
We're trying to get this in a wider release as well. hopefully we can set it up where we can premiere this at like local theaters and,
wow.
and things like that. And
There's all
just-
kind of different like student festivals and stuff, especially with like a documentary category. This is the kind of perfect thing for it.
Yeah, and I mean the film festival is ended, but what about for next year? I mean, I forget. Most of you guys are seniors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all seniors.
You're all seniors,
Yeah.
so but you can still be part of
Yeah,
the
there's
Media
like
Fest,
for
right?
the Media Fest, there's like a alumni category. And, like,
And you
recent
guys are
graduate
planning
thing.
to submit this?
Probably.
Most likely, yeah.
We're pretty much
Can't
trying
hurt,
to submit
man.
this anywhere that we can once it's done.
And it's not about exposure, really. It's just about getting a story out there. We're not looking for awards or film
Yeah, not
at
festival
all.
credits or anything like
But
that.
how cool would it be if you told your grandfather, like, hey, you were a great subject for a documentary?
Yeah, I mean,
He would appreciate it, or?
I'm sure he'd be glad that people know his story.
Mm.
Absolutely.
I think he's gonna be really happy with the final product too. He's told parts of his story on camera before, I think, right? And
Huh.
like he's told bits and pieces of his story, but never once has he like sat down and and we're really trying to give this the respect and professionalism that it deserves.
Yeah.
So really hoping that we can get this out on time and have it done really well.
So at what point did your grandfather, or did you notice that he was willing to do this? Because like you were saying, like at first he kind of didn't really talk too much about it, but I mean, to get him to sit down for an entire documentary questionnaire is pretty amazing.
I mean, growing up, he used to drop little hints. He'd tell us about how horrible war was and that kind of thing. And my mom would tell us that he'd never talked about it when she was growing up. And I told them about what I knew and the historical context I knew, and they said, like, let's ask him, let's get the whole story. And I went to him and said, would you be comfortable doing this? And he said, yes, I would. It's about time.
So, and the historical context, because you're a history major, you mean?
Yep.
And once you started talking about like World War II, is that when you said, hey, my grandfather had firsthand knowledge of what happened here?
It was
I
one of
gotta
those
talk
things
to
that
him."
just kind of came out of nowhere. Like I feel like it came out of like a bar conversation or like a late night conversation where we were kind of just like, oh, my grandparents this, and he had said, my grandfather had seen all this, and we're like, oh, we actually have to get his story on camera. And it started off as like, let's just go and get his story on camera. But then we're like, we can actually really make something special. We can package this into like his life story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, thank you guys for coming on the couch.
Yeah, no
Thanks for
problem.
having us.
Yeah.
So remember, it's called Change of Tides, the William Roberts story, and it premieres on December 5th, Vimeo, YouTube.
Anywhere else.
Anywhere else.
Somewhere.
Thanks, guys, and we'll be right back with more on the couch.